What is it, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you're new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really does help out our channel. And a huge thank you to the members of our channel. Yesterday we had a new member, a long-standing Discord member. We have Zero's Wolf. Thank you very much. It's truly appreciated, and you know that I really respect that. Thank you. And with that being said, let's get in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from I Feel For Meg. Am I the arsehole for kicking my sister's kids out of my house? I'm 35 and child-free. My sister is 33 and the mother of 3 kids, between 6 to 10 years of age, 2 boys and a girl. I've always had a strained relationship with my sister and usually avoid being around her kids, as I don't really like kids in general. Yesterday, my sister came over unannounced with her kids. She told me her brother-in-law had met with an accident and she and her hubby needed to go see him in hospital. She said she needed me to watch the kids for the evening as our parents were out of town. I told her to get a sitter, but she couldn't get one on such short notice. I refused again, telling her I've never babysat before and was looking forward to a quiet evening. First she told me she was just leaving them there. I told her I would call a child welfare committee and would report her for abandonment if she pulled something like that. She begged and pleaded and actually began to fake cry. As I didn't want to provide my neighbours with entertainment, I reluctantly agreed. At first things were fine, the kids were a bit rambunctious, but still somewhat tolerable. They ate their dinner without starting a food fight and then I left them in the living room to watch a movie. I was in the study getting some work done. I brought my cat and dog in there with me as I wanted to keep them safe from the kids. Suddenly, I heard a loud crash. I rushed into the living room and I found my precious antique clock that I kept on the mantelpiece on the ground in pieces. It was well over $1,000. I'm not American. I was furious, of course, and asked how the hell this happened. The eldest kid incoherently explained that they had taken it down to look at it and then the younger 2 were fighting over it and dropped it. Cute ear-shattering wailing from the other 2, blaming one another for the demise of my prized possession. I'd had enough. I called my brother-in-law and told him to come over immediately and get his spawn out of my home. He asked me what was wrong and I told him what they'd done. He had the gall to tell me I was overreacting. One of the kids, I think the youngest, had started bawling now. I told my brother-in-law to come at once and get his kids. He said he was on his way. He came to get the kids but didn't leave before lecturing me on the importance of family. I told him to get lost. This morning I received angry texts and phone call from my parents and several relatives asking how I could be so heartless and how I could value a clock more than my nieces and nephews. I've told them I don't care what they think because the way I see it, I was completely within my rights in kicking them out. They should just be grateful that I decided not to make my sister and brother-in-law pay for it. Judging from the fact that they have 3 kids, they probably can't afford it. I want to know what Reddit thinks. Am I the arsehole or are they? Edit, allow me to tell you exactly why my relationship with my sister is strained. It's because my sister has always been jealous of my success. For example, last year, I took a vacation to Spain and posted about it on Facebook. My sister is a housewife and her husband just lost his job. Apparently they were really struggling financially. Sis called me and berated me for having fun with my hard-earned money and flaunting it when they didn't know if they'd make it to the next month without having to ask the family for help. She also expected me to offer her some cash because family. When I told her that her and her husband would be better off if they had fewer kids, she actually got angry and yelled at me. This is just one example of my sister's entitlement. Some of you said that I shouldn't have left the kids alone. Well, before I left, I told them very clearly to keep their hands off my stuff. Edit 2, my mum just let me know that the sister's brother-in-law will be fine. He was driving under influence and has a dislocated shoulder and 2 broken ribs. And after much consideration, I've decided to sue. That clock was rare and expensive. I find this one incredibly hard because I'm very much a family person, regardless of who it is. My nieces, my nephews, you know, I'm honoured to look after them. You know, you can give them back at the end of the day and stuff, but I'd be honoured to look after them. Kids are great. So we're on kind of different levels here, I can tell by reading this. But so now I'm going to read a couple of comments and they sum up my feelings pretty well. So here we go. You know what? In my opinion, you're the arsehole. Not for being upset about your clock and not because you don't want to babysit, but because your sister was struggling with a family emergency, begged you for help, and after you accepted the responsibility, you left very young kids by themselves with no supervision and expected them to just figure it out. Then when something bad happened, you flipped out at the curious children and called their parents to pick them up and made them feel shitty even though you had left them alone. BK Stevens said, I 100% agree. Anyone who was once a child should be aware enough to not leave children unattended for any length of time if they don't want shit to go down. Plain I See You says, some of us read or amused ourselves as children without ripping $1,000 clocks off the walls. I'd be clueless as OP. Edit, thank you parents for weighing in to confirm that 2 6-year-olds and soon to be middle schooler can be expected to have more impulse control than a toddler, disturbing that this is controversial. And finally, the Bling Thing replies, I can understand taking the risk with one child under your care, but would you really make that assumption when there's 3 kids under 10? I would assume at least one of them is bound to have a bad idea. Now, as I said, I'm sort of a family person, so, and the whole post just sort of screams to me arsehole, you know, from not wanting to help your sister, to leaving the kids in the room, then coming back and having a go at them, and then finally you're suing them. You know, it's like, fuck's sake, man. But what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote in that top right hand corner. Our next story is from Cupcake from Hell. Am I the arsehole for reporting my teacher over a very uncomfortable joke? I, female 20, have been in a bakery course since September, and every Wednesday we have an 8-hour hands-on class. The teacher, male 50, is a very friendly man, but his sense of humour is kind of on the edge of acceptable. He'd been making sex jokes about me and some of the other girls in my class all year, but they were still kind of funny. Last week he called me from the other side of the room, saying his friend sent him a video, and it made him think of me as a joke. I approached him and he gets the video out. Everyone else was busy doing their thing. He showed me the video and skips through it. It was a lesbian orgy porn. I got super uncomfortable and froze. I couldn't do anything but chuckle in shock. I laughed it off, didn't say anything about it, and went back to what I was doing. I know I should have said something then, but I just couldn't. It's been making me lose sleep since last week. I feel grossed out, objectified, and my self-worth has plummeted. So today, I decided to call someone at school who I trust. I told her what happened and that I wanted to arrange a meeting with witnesses, where I tell him that he crossed a boundary. But she said she wanted to tell his boss and get an investigation started. Now he's getting in trouble because of me, even though I wanted to give him a warning first. Am I the arsehole for reporting my teacher over a joke? Edit, I thought I'd post this because I had a lot of trouble trying to figure out things I was feeling. Never in my wildest dreams had I expected this much of a response. Thank you for all your thoughts, upvotes and the awards. I've gathered some useful information and I feel better knowing that people support me, even though they're strangers on the internet. Thanks guys. And our first comment from this one comes from Gangster Napper. Not the arsehole, a 50-year-old man knows that showing his student porn is not a joke. He wants you to think as a joke so you'll doubt yourself like you're doing now. You're not getting him in trouble, he's getting himself in trouble. Pagan Chick 720, exactly this, not the arsehole, that was not a joke, that was sexual harassment. Schrodinger's Cat 42, oh boy, I was sexually harassed in high school by one of my teachers and he also claimed it was a joke. I think it was so he could deny it was harassment and then blame me for taking it too seriously, or whatever. Bloody a DP, common strategy for many types of abusers. If it's a joke, then not only did they do nothing wrong, but then they'd be offended at you misinterpreting. You really think I'm that kind of person? Then they go further playing the victim, or even more harassing behaviour played off as a joke. Fucked a lot of them. Crisis Redditor replies, I like the idea of calling them out, loudly, on the spot. Pretend you're confused if it helps. Why are you showing me lesbian porn? It's just a joke, lower your voice. I don't get it. Is this lesbian orgy video you're showing me in class a reference to something I don't remember? I like the idea of calling someone out like that. But yes, that is some abusive behaviour right there. But yeah, this guy is definitely the arsehole, not OP obviously. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to vote in that top right hand corner. Our next story comes from Snoo10931. Am I the arsehole for grounding my son after he got into an argument with my boyfriend over something from 10 years ago? My oldest son and boyfriend, H, had a bad relationship ever since H accidentally burned down our house. He put in a pizza while me, my 2 sons and daughter went out to the mall, and H had forgot about it and left to go back to his apartment. When we got back home, our kitchen was on fire, and by the time the fire trucks got here, the whole downstairs was on fire. Our house was pretty much destroyed, and our husky passed away in the fire. When I told my boyfriend about it, he remembers his pizza. He apologised and I forgave him, but my son never did. My other 2 were too young to remember. My cousin said she could watch my kids until we got a new house, and I stayed with H at his house. It was too small to hold all of us. A lot of our stuff was damaged, but not enough to be thrown away. So we got a new house 2 years later, and my son still hasn't forgiven H. It only got worse when he got older. He would never say hello to H when he would come over, and would always avoid him. Like one time when H came over and I cooked dinner, my son ate upstairs instead of downstairs with the family. Today my son was on call with his friends playing video games and my son lost and said, "What the hell?" So H went upstairs to his room to tell him, "Look, stop all that cursing, you're not grown." And my son pretty much ignored him until H had said, "Why are you ignoring me? Answer me." And my son yelled at him to get out of his room. After that they got into a loud argument. I ran upstairs to tell them to stop and my son yelled out, "Have you not gotten it yet? I don't like you. You burned down our house and you want to act like you're my dad. Leave me alone." I told H I'll handle this and told my son that he is acting like a child and that I understand that he was upset years ago, but now you need to let it go. It's been 10 years and that H has apologised and that he needs to forgive him. He said, "I don't care. He's a stupid person you took back after he burned our old home. With all our stuff and our dog, I'm not forgiving him. I don't even know why you took this patchy bearded idiot back anyways. Last week he made fries and left the oven on for an hour after he was done and it didn't get turned off until I came downstairs and seen he was an irresponsible idiot. I told him he was grounded for disrespecting him and he needed to get over it. I called my friend Y to tell her what happened and she said, honestly, he's kinda right to be mad. He lost his childhood home when he was 5 and his dog. So now I feel like I could have handled it better. So Reddit, am I the arsehole? Edit, I read a lot of comments that called me an arsehole and I realised I was wrong. I will unground my son and break up with H. I kind of feel like that last comment, it was so quick that I unground my son and break up with H. Like, okay Reddit, I'll do what you say. Like just having a little sulk about it. I'm not sure though, I might be reading that wrong. But let's read a couple of the comments below. Roll63, you're the arsehole. Your son has every right not to like your boyfriend. Sorry, I know it happened 10 years ago, but it killed his dog and took away his childhood for 2 years. On top of that, you basically left them for years and live with a guy who took away their home. Considering your boyfriend left fries in the oven again, I'd be nice to have my kid and ask my SO to smarten up. Edit, I sure hope you actually break up with this guy. Can't believe it took a Reddit post. Then Mrs. Fratillery says, not to mention an incredibly traumatic experience, which included his mother living with a boyfriend. The fries incident likely triggered him. He could have PTSD or other undiagnosed issues. There is no mention that she ever got him counselling and once again has been like, okay, boyfriend can do no wrong and son, you just need to get over it. Ugh, what an arsehole. Dreams do come true says, right, I mean just passing by a random house burning down can shake you up pretty bad. A child seeing his house burn and dog dies is definitely a traumatising experience. But what does mum do? Move in with a boyfriend and abandon the kids to deal. It could have been a very different scenario if the kid got dealt with compassion. OP, you're the arsehole. Yeah, that's a good point. That bit where she moves in with a boyfriend and packs her kids off somewhere else. I know she said there's not a lot of room, but that whole situation doesn't seem right to me. For 2 years, just not dealing with your kids. The hell? Is it me that's just not right at all? Anyway, what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below and don't forget to vote in that top right hand corner. Our next story comes from Dad Joke, am I the arsehole? Am I the arsehole for making a dad joke? Note, my stepdaughter, Madeline, was about a year old when I married her mother, Jessica. Madeline's father died before she was born. Madeline is currently 15 and she's rebelling for almost everything. She did something bad, so while picking her up, I set a punishment up for her. Then she said, "You're not my dad, I didn't have to follow you." Honestly, I got a bit hurt from that, but I understand that she didn't mean it, and that should probably change. I just replied, I'm still your legal guardian for the next 3 years. As long as you're in my house, you have to follow my rules. That happened about 2 years ago, so our family was doing grocery shopping when Madeline said, I'm hungry, I need food. I decided to be extremely cheeky and say, hi hungry, I'm not your dad. My son just started to laugh uncontrollably. My daughter was just quiet with embarrassment and my wife was berating me not to stoop down to her level. I honestly thought it was a funny dad joke and my son agrees, so am I the arsehole? Edit, I did adopt her, so legally I am her parent. Mini updates, I'll probably give a full update later, but here is what happened so far. I got to my daughter's room after dinner and began talking with her. Hey, I'm really sorry that I hurt you by the words I said, and I am really your dad. I changed your diapers, I met your boyfriend, and I plan on helping you through college. And plus, I'm legally your dad, so we're stuck together. But seriously, I'm going to love you like my daughter, even if you don't think I'm your dad. Then I hugged her, she started to cry, I assume that's good. The comments are mostly one-liners on this one, so I'm going to just go over it. And basically, most people were saying everyone is the arsehole in this story. The daughter for being a little turd at the moment, and the dad for going about the way he did. But you know, I think the joke was a bit below the belt, but I don't think it was the worst thing in the world unless I'm missing something here. And I'm a big fan of dad jokes. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote in that top right hand corner. And our final story is from ABC Throwaway 7. Am I the arsehole for telling the girl who kissed my boyfriend for a play that she is desperate and pathetic? I, 19 female, study drama at uni, and my boyfriend is on the same course. My boyfriend is a really good looking guy, but he doesn't seem to know it. He gets a lot of attention from girls, and for the most part doesn't seem to get that they're flirting with him. I'm not generally annoyed by this and never really say anything. However, there's one girl in our class, let's call her Victoria, who is obsessed with my boyfriend. She goes out of her way to be paired with him in group activities. For example, if the professor picks groups by numbering us 1, 2, 3, she will move us out to be in the same number as him. And she recently stepped down from her main role in a play we're doing so she could be in a more minor one, simply because this character has a romance with my boyfriend. I know this is the case because I've heard her say this to her friends, and she thinks he's hot and whatnot. I've never said anything to her about it because she seems pretty insecure, always complaining about how she thinks she's ugly, and I don't see it's a big deal because my boyfriend doesn't care. However, we recently performed the play and had a small after party where she got slightly drunk and was bragging about how she definitely felt something when they kissed in the play, and she's going to ask him if he felt the same. I rolled my eyes and again ignored it until she actually went up to my boyfriend. She was a little bit drunk, and when she went up to him, I was there too. Victoria started saying that she knows he must have felt a spark, he's a really good kisser, etc. I snapped and sort of shouted at her that, "You sound incredibly desperate, going after someone else's boyfriend. You're pathetic if you think a stage kiss means you should be together." She looked super embarrassed and walked away, and I later heard she'd gone home crying. I felt like a dick because she's obviously insecure and whatnot, and her friends haven't stopped calling me a bitch ever since. Am I the arsehole? Edit, she 100% knows that I'm his girlfriend. I've heard her talking about me and his girlfriend before. I'm sort of in two minds about this one, you know. It sounded like the girl had a bit of a crush, or maybe it's a bit more than that. So she's definitely in the wrong for that, but at the same time, could OP handled it a bit better? Could she have approached the situation a bit more gentler if she knew she was a bit insecure and things? Just went up to her and said, "Look, back off," instead of calling her out in front of everyone. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and don't forget to vote in that top right hand corner. Anyway guys, thank you for being here today. It is always truly appreciated, and I hope you know that. There's a video on your screen right now if you fancy watching another one, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys. Much love.